Hello, everyone. Um, Today we are going to talk about, from my perspective, pretty important topic, which is modern way to approach screens for our children, and how do we do it? Because technology is more than a half of our life, and we all have phones and computers, and we are using them for work. So you basically do not have an opportunity to tell your child that this is bad, because your child constantly sees you on the phone or on the computer working. So you basically cannot lie to your child and tell, okay, you cannot use it, you cannot have iPad because it's bad for you. Even though it is bad, but you cannot start with it, because all technology can be helpful if you know how to use it. Um, there is a saying that you can, if you know how to use a knife, you can use it either to cut vegetables for soup, or you can kill a person. So technology basically the same. If you know how to use them, you can have a lot of benefits. But if you're kind of missing it, or you're not using it properly, or not putting a thinking into technology for your children, it's going to be pretty. It may be pretty good, pretty bad. So what is it that I'm talking about? Technology and screen time can be pretty dangerous for children, because the major problem is that whenever they play or watch, in many cases, consist from a hero or whomever, a wherever, like a cat, or like a person or somebody else is running around and killing, and being killed multiple times, and then rises and then do something again. Or games are built on killing, and then um, a child, or if they are playing, say they associate themselves with a certain figure, and that this figure got killed by their peer. And then this figure, because it's a game, rises up and goes back to fighting. So what it means is that whatever is happening is not based on real reality, because in a reality, if you get hurt, I mean, you're lucky if there is no consequences, and you just get hurt, or a wound that can be treated by simple neosporin and a band-aid or something like this. But sometimes we have injuries that brings us to, I mean, I would consider breaking an arm also not somehow a bad injury, because it's healed. But there are injuries that cannot be healed, and there are situations that cannot be rise rise back from. Like, for instance, if a child doesn't learn that he or she needs to listen, or walk with adult, crossing the street, the child can get hit by the car. So these consequences are not something that a child can rise from, right? So things like this can and should be explained to a child. And in those games and those videos or those movies, in many cases, they do not have this explanation. I can tell you that, and I'm sure that many of you have the same, that I had a situation in a certain age when kids were learning about cars, and that was scary because they could just run across the street without, like without talking, like without listening to you, and they didn't have fear. So I remember myself, I was sitting, like, and I was thinking, what do I do uh, in order for him, for my son in my case, learn that the car can actually hit, and the way how he can be hit by the car can be very painful at minimum. So the good thing, and I'm not saying that a lot of people, like should be doing this, or I'm not saying that this is the correct thing, but my husband and I, because both of us, we know martial arts, there are certain moves in martial arts how you can touch a person, and it's not a hit, but it's pretty painful. So we touched our son once to show him that the pain can be few times bigger than wherever he was experiencing at that very time, at the very moment. And our son was shocked because he was hurt. He was genuinely hurt, and we didn't do anything. It's just a, if you guys, some of you do know martial arts, I'm pretty sure that you do know that there are certain touches that you can do, and they are very painful for body. So we had to do something like this to our son in order for him to learn what is this. But that was it. My son, after that, he never, ever again crossed the streets without us. My point here is that children need to be taught what to do, and we need to put our time and effort in it, and sometimes it's not comfortable for us. So that's the reason why a lot of us bringing screen time to our life, because we just don't want to deal with children. We don't want to explain, like we're so busy with ourselves, with our personal life, with our work and business, that we don't really want explain. We don't want to take time, and we don't want to talk to children, and we must. And it's dangerous. It's a dangerous path when we are letting screen and time screen to take control of our life, because it's convenient. A child starts to cry, and instead of dealing with a child, instead of figuring out why a child cries, we just give a child either a screen or a pacifier or something like this. And this is awful because it all teaches them bad things. And another thing is, and as I said, like I want to specify that it's important part of our life. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing this. We should. But there are a lot of ways how we can do this. For instance, if you have only one child, try not to introduce a child to a screen as long as you can. Like literally, do not bring any phones. Make sure that your child reads. Make sure that your child plays himself by himself. Make sure that you play audiobooks for a child. Read the child. If you have nanny, make sure that your nanny reads, plays with the child. As I said, it's crucial. Do not introduce your first as long as possible to a screen. However, that being said, means that if you have a second child, because you first is already having a screen, it's going to be very hard for you not to bring the screen to your second one, because your second one is already going to learn that there is a screen. So what do you do if you missed the points and they miss the time and the screen is already in your life? What do you do? So there are certain things that you can do. A, wherever, make sure that you introduce and you watch a content of your child. What does it mean? There are plenty of shows on PBS that you can screen yourself, and you can actually make sure that your children are watching. uh, you would need to look and you would need to choose yourself, what is this exactly that you will be okay, that your child will be watching. um, Another thing that you can do is make sure that you have audiobooks either downloaded, or you can find them on YouTube. There are, like, my children, they will love Diary of a Whimper Kid. There are plenty of them, and you can find them. It's a free content. You don't need to pay. You just need to make sure that you have it. So kids are doing so well with this, and it's constant. Like, they can listen these books constantly. Also, what it does to kids, it triggers their imagination, and they're listening, and like, you can talk about that with them. You can talk about what is it that they heard, what is it that they learned, what is this that they want to try, what is it that, like, what was interesting in the book that they listened. You need to make sure that you're on top of children when it comes to screen time, when it comes to technology. It's not that easy. I'm not going to tell you that it's very easy. It's not easy. You need to be on top for a certain amount of time. You need to put a lot of effort. You need to make sure that if you have a device for a child, this device have time limits, and this is you who would need to make sure that you put those time limits into this device. Also, if you do play dates, you need to do two things. One, you need to either let it go and don't think about what the other parents can show or let your child play, because a lot of parents, they don't think what kind of games they allow their children to play with, and a lot of games are very, very violent. And I can tell that, me personally, I noticed that every single time when my children got exposed, especially boys, when they got exposed to a violent a game where they hit each other, or something like involve killing, I can tell you that my kids, for a few days, they are pretty, like, they're pretty emotionally violent with themselves. Like, it's very hard for me to make them listen. It's very hard for me to talk to them. Luckily, my kids are pretty good about rules, because I spend a lot of times to make sure that they are following directions. And as I said, like, things like this are not easy. It's not easy for parents to introduce them to rules, because it requires from you to follow these rules. That's how your child knows how to follow. So going back to devices, don't take iPads to restaurants. I know that it's very, like, easy to put your child and just have lunch or dinner, but it's not the way how you approach devices. It teaches your child completely bad lesson. Your child will be using devices, for like, at some time they will learn. They will tell you, "Mom, you know what? You want me to just shut up? Give me an iPad or something like this." And this is wrong, because devices have to teach them something. It's not supposed to be a pacifier throughout their life. It should not be a pacifier for you because you don't know how to handle, or you don't want to think how to handle, or you go like, well, again, I don't want to deal with you. Here, iPad, like just watch it. It shouldn't be like this for parents. And I know that it's easy. I know, and trust me, I had this kind of dilemma many times in my life as well. But it shouldn't be like this, because screens are not babysitters. Screens are not. And we are humans. We need to be in charge of screens. We shouldn't be making screens in charge of our life. It's wrong direction. It is not correct. So make sure that you are not using screens because you're frustrated or you tired, or you don't have babysitter, or something like this. Make sure that you are exploring all options, books, audiobooks. Make sure that you ask your child to help you, like when it comes to home chores. Teach children how to self play. Do it. Don't be scared that your child will be yelling. He or she will at the very beginning, but then they will still need to learn how to do things, especially if you have only one child. Do not be afraid to make your child learn certain things, because this is how they learn. If we are not going to force on children, they are not going to learn. And children are pretty skilled right now. They do understand devices very, very fast, and more than adults. So please, once again, I want to make a point. Screens are not babysitters. Do not use them because it's convenient for you. It's going to play a very bad joke on you down the road. So please listen to me, hear me out on this. Do not use screens as a babysitters. I hope it was helpful for you guys. Have a good day. Subscribe, follow us, watch us on YouTube, join our community, and I'll see you guys soon.